Well, good morning, kids. Thanks for joining me today. Hey, got my Dodger hat on because it's baseball season, right? The Dodgers are killing it again. And, I thought I'd just say, go Dodger Blue. I'll take it off because it kind of leaves a shadow on my face. Hey, when I was your age, I had a lot of friends. A lot of my friends used to tell strange stories. In fact, I had a couple friends that were really good about making up things that weren't true. And I just kind of learned not to believe anything they said. If it sounded unusual or sounded strange, I just figured they were lying and it couldn't possibly be true. And it's true. Nowadays, we hear a lot of things that just aren't true. And we just assume they're wrong. That's not always the case. Let me tell you, if I was to tell you that one day I was walking down the street, then all of a sudden, up in front of me, a cat fell out of the sky, landed on a guy's head, hit him so hard that it knocked him out, and he fell to the ground. And then after the cat ran off, well, a dog wearing shoes walked up to him and checked him out, and then decided he was going to go over to the cat and tell the cat what a bad cat he was and scold him for having fallen on that man's head. If I told you that, would you believe me? Would you maybe say, okay, Pastor Al, I kind of mostly believe you sometimes, but I think maybe you're making this one up? Well, I would say that probably that was a smart thing to do, because it sounds so incredibly impossible that it would never happen. But let me show you a little video. Okay, so sometimes things that really sound almost impossible do actually happen. Now, in the last few days, we've been talking, or rather Sundays, about the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And that's a big, long word. But what it really means is that after Jesus died on the cross, his body was wrapped in linen and put in a grave. And in those days, they had different kind of graves. They were kind of like a cave. They rolled a big stone in front of it. And then sometime in the next 2 days, it was 3 days in the ground, Jesus' body came back to life. Not just the spirit, his whole body. And the stone was rolled away and he walked out of the tomb. That Jesus really came back to life. That's what we call resurrection. His body starts moving again. Now, if I was to tell you, hey, I know this guy who died and was dead for 3 days, he died a terrible death, but he came back to life, you might kind of say, I'm not sure I believe that either. But that's exactly what happened. The Bible tells us that there were over 500 people who saw Jesus after he had come back from the dead. Every person who ever examines the history of this discovers that while you can't 100% prove it, that Jesus came back to life explains all sorts of stuff, and it's probably the most likely explanation of what happened. So throughout all of world history, no one has ever really, really, really died and come back to life except Jesus. And that's really good news, because you know what it does? It reminds us that God's love for us is even stronger than death, and that God's love for us won't end when we die, and that just like Jesus rose from the grave, one day we too will rise, those who love him, and will be with him for all eternity. So you're going to read things in the Bible that are a little hard to believe sometimes. Probably nothing harder than to believe that somebody came back from death. But Jesus did, because he loves us so much, and God's power is that great. So remember that when you go through a tough time. Remember that when sometimes the life of someone you love comes to an end. That Jesus' love is stronger than death. And that's the one thing, as impossible as it seems, that we can trust on when we look towards the future. So enjoy your day. It should be a nice, wonderful, warm day. And I will see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.